When I pulled into my driveway that Thursday evening, I felt something was off. At first, I couldn't place it. The sunset looked the same. The salt air smelled like it always did. But the second I stuck my key into the front door, it didn't turn. It didn't even try. It was like the house had forgotten me entirely. I stared at the lock, jiggling the key the way you do when you're praying it's just stuck. But no, someone had changed it. Clean swap. No note. No explanation. Just a silent little message. You're not welcome in your own home. Then I stepped back and noticed the porch. All the desert succulents I planted when I moved in were gone. Ripped out. In their place, dying begonias arranged like someone Googled cute plants 5 minutes before buying them. The mailbox I built by hand, a little walnut piece my dad helped me finish when I was 19, had been replaced by a cheap black metal box you'd find behind a gas station. I felt a weight in my stomach that I hadn't felt since middle school, when the popular kids decided I didn't belong at their lunch table. That same cold sting of being pushed out of a place you thought you were safe. I stepped back, looked at the curb, checked the number. No, I wasn't crazy. This was my house. Only now it looked like it belonged to someone who said live, laugh, love unironically. I eventually got inside through the back door, which they hadn't thought to change. And taped to my kitchen counter was a bright orange violation notice with a name scrawled across the bottom in silver gel pen. Kaylee Thorne, president of the Coral Crest HOA. I didn't even know we had a president. I hadn't been in the neighborhood long enough to learn the politics. But apparently she knew enough about me to decide what my yard should look like. The next morning, after 3 cups of coffee and a moral debate about lighting the paper on fire, I walked across the street to find Kaylee. I found her in her driveway, wearing an athleisure outfit covered in tiny gold logos, filming herself talking to her phone. She flipped her hair when she saw me approaching. "Hi there," she said, bright but sharp. "If this is about yesterday, the board agreed your property needed immediate correction." "You're welcome." "Correction?" I said. "You changed my locks." She shrugged. "We couldn't access the yard otherwise. You replaced my plants. Your choices didn't fit the coastal ambience brand we're cultivating. It's all in the handbook." "And the mailbox?" "Off-brand. Distracting." I felt something hot burning behind my ribs. Not just anger. Humiliation. That middle school lunch table feeling again. "I didn't approve any of that," I said. She smiled. That slow, sweet smile people wear when they think they're smarter than you. "You didn't have to." Emergency authority. Section 8B. She tapped her phone to stop recording, leaned in a little, and added quietly, "If you're planning to fight it, just know people who make things difficult around here tend to regret it." And in that moment, I swear I heard the same tone bullies use right before they knock the books out of your hands. I walked back home, sat in my silent living room, and made a decision. If she wanted a power struggle, she picked the wrong guy. I wasn't just some quiet new neighbor who owned a tool set and a few succulents. I was a digital forensics analyst who spent 10 years documenting evidence for federal cases. I built security systems for a living, and she had just declared war on the one homeowner who could record every step she took. The first thing I did was activate the full system I'd installed just weeks before. Cameras disguised inside garden stones and porch lights, mics hidden in wind chimes, cloud backups synced in real time. I'd never planned on using all of it at once, but here we were. 3 days later, while I was at work, my phone buzzed. Motion alert. Then another. Then 3 more. I ducked into a meeting room and opened the live feed. Kaylee was back. This time she wasn't alone. She had 2 board members with her, guys I'd never seen before, and a landscaping crew unloading plants that looked like they'd been chosen for a hotel lobby in Miami. Kaylee pointed at my yard, hands on hips. "Rip all of it out," she said. "The gravel too." He tried to hide cameras in there. Creepy. One of the workers hesitated. Ma'am, this system is actually county-approved drought landscaping. It's literally required in some zones." Kaylee waved him off. "And this zone is mine. Keep going." Then she did something I'll never forget. She looked straight at one of my hidden cameras, the one built into my street number sign, and smirked. "He'll thank me someday." In the feed, I watched as they ripped out every plant I'd installed, including a little pine sapling I planted the week my mom passed away. I watched them tear up the drip irrigation system I designed myself. I watched one guy accidentally cut a water main, spraying the crew like a busted fire hydrant. Kaylee didn't even flinch. "Turn it off at the street," she said. And just like that, my entire house lost water. I called the sheriff's office. They said it was an HOA matter. I called the management company. They said the board had full discretion. This wasn't incompetence. It was targeted, calculated, and she thought she was untouchable. But she didn't know she was being filmed from 7 different angles. When I returned home the next day, the damage almost knocked the air out of my lungs. My yard looked like someone had tried to stage a garden, but got bored halfway through. A stack of new violation letters sat on my doorstep, fines totaling over $7,000. And taped on my door was a printed photo, a shot taken through my office window, showing confidential case files on my desk. Kaylee had used a selfie stick to take it. That wasn't just creepy. It was a crime, a violation of privacy laws, a potential breach of active investigations I was working on. The humiliation, the violation. It all started boiling into something new inside me. Resolve. I sat down, opened my laptop, and got to work on what would eventually become a 186-page evidence report. Every clip, every timestamp, every violation, every petty, brutal little decision Kaylee made in the name of neighborhood aesthetic. And when I hit page 97, I realized something. I wasn't the only one. My neighbor Dana, a retired firefighter, told me Kaylee fined him for keeping his garden hose visible. A young couple down the street had been charged $900 for unauthorized children's toys. Another homeowner had their solar panels removed, illegally, because Kaylee thought they were ugly. It was a pattern, a power chain, a small empire Kaylee had built on fear and people staying quiet. But I wasn't wired for quiet. 1 week later, Kaylee called an emergency HOA meeting to address my dangerous non-compliant behavior. The room was packed. Half the community had shown up. Kaylee strutted to the front wearing a blazer with rhinestones spelling out president across the back. She started clicking through a slideshow of heavily edited photos of my house, each one exaggerated to look worse. He's installing surveillance equipment to spy on neighbors, she said. He's running a business out of his home. He's refusing to follow community standards. I moved for fines, liens, and mandatory corrective landscaping. People murmured. A few nodded. She still had allies. Fear does that. Then she said the line that changed everything. We had to take emergency action because he's unpredictable. That was my cue. I stood up slowly, carrying one single folder. No slideshow. No drama. Kaylee, I said, before we continue, I think the community deserves to see what really happened on my property. Then I opened the folder and began handing out QR codes, one to every person in the room. Scan it, I said. It's the live footage from last week. Full context. Full audio. Around me, phones started pinging with video. Gasps spread through the room. Kaylee froze. That footage is illegal, Dash. Actually, I said, it's recorded on my private property, which you entered without permission. That's trespassing. And cutting my water line? Property damage. Photographing confidential documents through my window? That's a potential criminal charge. I turned to the crowd. But you all can watch and decide for yourselves. People weren't murmuring anymore. They were seething. One board member stood and said, Kaylee, you said he gave consent. Another said, you told us he threatened you. Then Dana, the retired firefighter, raised his hand. I moved that we suspend the president pending an independent investigation. A second came instantly. Then a third. Then the entire room lifted their hands except for Kaylee's 2 closest allies. Kaylee sputtered. This is harassment. I did everything by the rules. But her voice sounded smaller now, thinner, like she finally realized the camera wasn't pointed at me. It was pointed at her. I stepped toward the front, calm, steady. You built your power on people being too scared or too tired to fight back, I said. But you forgot the one rule every bully eventually learns. Someone always stands up. Silent. Still. Then applause broke out. Messy, angry, relieved applause. And just like that, the kingdom she'd built out of fear cracked. Kaylee didn't go quietly. People like her don't. She later claimed she was the victim of male aggression and digital manipulation. She started filming emotional videos in her car about how she was being persecuted by a corrupt board. She even started a TikTok series called HOA Survivor. But the county didn't buy it. Insurance didn't buy it. And definitely, the neighbors didn't buy it. As for me, I rebuilt the yard in my own style again. A little wilder. A little more me. And for the first time since moving in, people waved when I walked by. They talked to me. They asked how I was doing. funny how standing up changes more than just a situation. It changes a community. But here's the part that still sticks with me. Last week, a motion appeared on the new HOA agenda. A proposal to limit security cameras on private property so they can't capture board actions. Guess who submitted it? Kaylee. Yeah, I guess some fights never really end. They just change battlegrounds. What do you think? Is an HOA ever justified in overriding a homeowner for the sake of neighborhood standards? Or is this just another example of small power corrupting completely? Comment your take below. I want to hear the craziest, most unbelievable HOA stories you've ever seen or lived through. Let's see how wild this rabbit hole really gets.